She really loves chocolate. Text from my brother. My niece, 7, is a little confused. Said she hates me and I'm not her real dad and she wants a DNA test. I'm like, you're adopted. She's like, I know. I still want the test. I don't think she understands about DNA. My son was disappointed to realize that the US team was playing a country called Wales and not a large group of whales in what I guess he imagined to be a large soccer SeaWorld extravaganza. 6-year-old found this and started screaming, I found the golden ticket. My son accidentally colored something blue instead of green, so I told him to just color over it with yellow, and when it turned green he asked if I'm a witch, and I didn't say no, so now I bet he'll clean his ducking room. I don't mind, if you don't mind. My daughter got a new umbrella, and now she won't put it down. Conversation with my daughter. She's almost 3. Me, tying her hair up. Wow monkey, your hair is getting so long. It looks really great. Baby, no it's not long hair. It's me, short. Baby, no, it's small and it's got no ants in it at all. Me, okay. Baby, okay let's play football. Do vaguely threatening neighbor kids count? Take a peep right now, or else. An actual conversation I had at after school care yesterday. Kid, there's a beer can in the recycle bin. Me, not looking up because that's crazy. No there isn't. Kid, yeah, it's beer. Me, looking up from the day's craft. It's literally not. Kid, it's beer. Me, sighs and rolls my eyes. I'll prove it to you. Me, digs through recycle bin to look for a can. Me, that is a LaCroix. Young me would always try to scratch the paint off of this pipe every day while waiting for the elevator to arrive. This is what the pipe looks like after about 10 years of waiting for the elevator every day before school. I was dumb. Kids can't find the soap that was dispensed. One time when I was younger, I was mixing shut up in my bathroom. Whatever I could find. I threw it in the potion as I called it. Well, I accidentally put some baking soda and some ingredient with some cleaner, reacted with the baking soda, and it caused a small scale explosion and damaged the entire sink and part of the wall. Some people in the apartment building heard the explosion and called the police, and I was a kid, so I pretended I didn't make the potion, and then the FBI got involved because they thought someone tried to bomb our apartment building. I was 6. Making snacks for my boys, 1 and 3. Making one big quesadilla they had to share. Might as well have been waterboarding. My sister's solution to a pen mark on the couch. Happy Thanksgiving Day. My kid trying to blow dry her hair and refusing help. Me when I was 4, 2009, thinking I was a cat with the 2 cats we had, RIP Ellie 2003 to 2021 and Sam 2002 to 2022. A 6-year-old literally. Around this year, I was visiting a relative with my mom and there were these 2 kids, around 5 or 6 years old, and they were playing with some basic toys like animals and that stuff. One of them though had a crewmate from Among Us, and my mom was very confused and asked something like, "What is that thing?" So then I explained to her, "It's from a popular game nowadays," and this 6 years old looks at me dead in the eyes and says unironically, actually, the game is dead and it's not popular anymore. It died in 2021. Comics I made when I was 11 years old. Life is super tough when you can't pick up the book you want because you're sitting on it. LG 86 8070 place J bulk screen. Well, my son just stepped on it and it's cracked now, so doesn't matter anymore. My TV suddenly stopped working. Bulk screen sound but no picture. I had a LG 55 UK 6500 that had a similar issue where there was a short in the panel. To fix this, I put tape over a few of the connectors on the panel's ribbon cable to shut off power to those points on the panel. I tried that on this TV with no success, however, when I unplugged this it flickered. I don't know what that means, but advice would be appreciated. When I was 9, it was early in the morning on my birthday, and I was trying to pretend to be a YouTuber, and I threw my sister's actual iPhone 5 into a sink, and pretended to act as if it was broken, and put it back. When I was caught, I pretended like it wasn't me. I was grounded for about 2 weeks after that. My little brother was so ducking stupid. Hello Santa, I hope you like the apple cider. We don't have milk, we only have soy milk. Sorry. PS. The water is for reindeer. Thank you. My little sister bought something in a game that is supposedly 100% free, and I can't seem to figure out what it is. When my sister's children were young, the eldest son, 10, came inside and said there's trouble outside. The 7-year-old had climbed up a ladder by the side of the house and put their puppy on the roof. When he couldn't get it to come back, he took his 5-year-old sister up the ladder to get her to crawl over and get the dog. She froze in fear halfway there. He was in the process of carrying the toddler up the ladder when my sister came out. I was curious and had inquired about the concept of medicine. Parents rightfully told me that if I took medicine and wasn't sick, it could make me sick. My young brain morphed that into something more literal. I thought you would catch whatever sickness the medicine was made to treat if you took it while healthy. Sneak one of mom's high blood pressure pills. Dang, you've now got high blood pressure for life. Cold medicine? Yeah, now you have a cold. I used to see those signs around stores that said, "Shapelifters will be prosecuted." I didn't know what shoplifting meant. I figured it was like weightlifting with the entire store building as the weight. I pictured big burly bald men that liked to go around heaving store buildings overhead, grunting and red-faced. I was afraid someone would do it while we were out shopping. I once pointed out some big muscular guy in a store and whispered to my mother that he must be one of those shoplifters. She shushed me. I believed we could reincarnate as everything. I do mean everything. For example, I thought people could reincarnate as TVs and wondered if my TV was a person in its previous life and if it could see me watching it. I like to consider I was a pretty smart kid, so no idea why the duck I believed that. 3 of my grandparents moved to the US from Italy, and everyone they knew were either Italian immigrants or Italian Americans raised by immigrants. Growing up around so many older folks speaking with heavy Italian accents and random intermittent Italian words in conversation, I just assumed until the age of 7 that when you got old, you just started sounding Italian after a while, like your baby accent falling out and your adult Italian accent growing in. I was 3 or 4 years old. I was out with my dad, and we came across a person missing their leg. It was probably an amputee. I asked my dad what happened to their leg. Him, probably being tired of all my questions, just said that it had broken off. A few months later I broke my leg in kindergarten and freak out at the doctor's office because I was convinced it was going to fall off. Okay. I still think of myself as an idiot for this. When I was 11, I saw an advert saying that said, brushing your teeth alone isn't good enough, and I thought you needed to do it with other people. Now a few years later I see why I got bullied. I did some dumb things back then. I thought divorced couples had to swap partners with other divorced couples. To be fair, my only experience with divorce was a friend whose parents did just that, divorced, swapped partners and then both remarried, leaving the kids and the family as double-step siblings, and sharing the same 4 parents. When I was 7, I had a baby brother. Shortly after his birth, my mother had to go to the hospital again. Allergy. Little me had already learned that hospitals bring babies, so I asked my mother if she had another one. Oh, I have a good one. Starts on a weird note though. So when I was like 5 to 8 years old, lived in a house still being constructed. No lock on the bathroom door, toilet opened air to the bath, no shower, and if mum needed to use the toilet while I was in there, she'd just burst in and do her business. As such, that was my first exposure to women having different nethers to boys. All I saw was hair, and I knew women had to sit down to use the toilet, so I put 2 and 2 together to make 5. Women must pee out of all the ends of the hair that they have, which I didn't have. That's why that sit down, right? Because it must spray in a random series of directions. Believe this until I was about 12, ha ha ha. I walked in on my mum taking birth control when I was 8ish. I asked her what it was, and she awkwardly told me that when people have sex, you have to take birth control, so you don't have babies. I didn't clue in that she was leading an active sex life. Instead I thought for years that the moment you have sex, you have to take birth control for the rest of time, lest you become pregnant. Man. I had a friend who was a couple of years younger than me. I was like in 1st grade, he was in kindergarten. It was around Christmas time, and his dad asks to talk to me for a second. He was like, I know you're older than my son, but I'm asking you to please not tell him Santa isn't real. I'll never forget looking up at him and going, wait, what? I'll never forget the look on his face. I could hear the Curb Your Enthusiasm music playing in his head. My grandmother said when my uncles didn't want to eat all the food that she would put it through their eyes. I actually believe that until I was 9. Bit of a weird one, but my uncle didn't want us kids going upstairs in his house, so he told us there was a gorilla in the airing cupboard. He'd make gorilla noises anytime we went near the stairs. It was terrifying. We all believed it so much we got upset when we went go his house. How I'm not permanently scarred is a total mystery. My bed was right up against the window in my bedroom when I was growing up. I used to think I was hearing a giant walking back and forth outside my window because I was hearing a rhythmic thumping sound. Could sometimes feel it too. Turned out, I was sleeping on my side, and with my ear to the pillow, I was hearing my own heartbeat. I used to believe my stuffed animals and other soft/plush toys, like Beanie Babies, were sentient at night. One of the few fond memories I have of my abrasive dad growing up was that he would make up stories for my sister and me about their activities when we were asleep. He claimed to catch them in all kinds of mischief around the time he went to bed, usually around midnight, or if they woke him up. I remember especially that they were decent cooks and really liked classic rock music, but little else. How he kept the secret for about a year or 2, we didn't know. My sister discovered a few of the stories on his computer when we were 9 or 10, confirming her suspicions that the stories were for fun. She had it figured out quickly and just didn't say anything until she was sure she had incidents her claim. He confirmed it and showed us exactly how he managed to create a sort of real-world Disney universe for that whole year. I think I might do the same if I ever marry and have children. I was never given a fake "where do babies come from" story. My parents were always very clear that babies are made by having sex. However, I was under the impression that babies can come from any form of sex, including oral. So I believed, as a young child, that you can get someone pregnant by cramming in their mouth. As a kid I loved Gwen Stefani/No Doubt, and my dad would buy me CDs so I could listen in the car. I'm guessing he didn't realize he got the NC Sword version of Love Angel Music Baby because he didn't want me to know she said this shit is bananas. So he made up that Gwen Stefani owns a boat and named it Bananas, and she's actually saying this ship is bananas. I sang it wrong until I was 10. Too long. Didn't read. My dad convinced me Gwen Stefani had a boat named Bananas, and I just went with it cause I was a stupid kid. When I was in preschool I thought that once you get to the 1st grade you get to take the magic school bus up to heaven and see what it is like, then come home. I was a strange kid. My mum would cry after divorce and her tears were black. because of her mascara running. I thought for real sadness our tears go black, so when I would be upset I would always check the color, and because they were clear I would be convinced I mustn't be that sad. My sister thought that black people were just white people that never showered and were covered in dirt. When she was 4 she went to church and shook a black guy's hand, the peace be with you thing us Catholics do. When she realized no dirt came off she stopped believing it, but she still shook her hand off on her skirt. She supports BLM now. Because we had to take regular vocabulary tests in school, I thought every adult knew every word, synonym and antonym in the English language. I was under the impression that we were supposed to have read and memorized the entire dictionary and thesaurus, front to back. I possessed a very advanced vocabulary by the time I entered middle school. As a non-American as a kid I thought that black American made up the majority of the US population, because as a sport lover I noticed that NBA, NFL and track and field athletes were mostly bulks. I was surprised when I found out that black Americans are only about 15% of the US population. I thought that having the hiccups meant you were growing, and that I was getting a tiny bit taller with every hiccup. I got so excited whenever it happened. It was all bullshit. I thought tadpoles turned into frogs by turning their tails inside out. Like the little legs were already inside their body, and as the tail got smacked in, there wasn't enough space for both, and it pushed out the legs. That's why the back legs grow first, the tail presses against them first. Now that I think about it, this would make a cool design for a stuffed animal. I have ophidiophobia, extreme fear of snakes. As a kid, it was so bad that I could not touch the TV if they were on screen or turn the pages of a book/magazine/newspaper if there was a photo of one. I was 100% sure that the snake would come out of the screen/page and bite me. I remember when I was in kindergarten first grade I truly thought you had to have a weird first name to be a teacher. I had no idea that we addressed teachers by their last name. You can succeed at anything if you try hard enough. 20 plus years later after all the blood, sweat, tears and training, with lots of screaming, and I'm still not a Super Saiyan. RIP my childhood dream. Saved a bunch of tadpoles that were in a pool that my grandmother dumped out. Went on to say that tadpoles could breathe air. My 8-year-old mind went by the logic tadpoles turned into frogs therefore they could breathe air. They couldn't. Thinking about it now I'm pretty sure she ended up throwing them away after we left. As a stupid 7/8-year-old I thought Slenderman was real. Then I found out he's harmless to kids somewhere. So I tried summoning him, as in, say Slenderman 3 times, before going to bed type of stuff. Nothing insane, because I thought he would make a nice friend. A year later I found out he doesn't exist, and a work of pure fiction, the most sad and heartbroken I ever was. Okay, so this is dumb, but my stepdad would take me to the pub when I was young, so he could get drunk, and I would always read the sign that said no gang colors allowed, but nobody ever explained that to me. So I always believed that the sexes knew all the gangs in the surrounding areas, and each gang had certain favorite colors probably decided on by their leader. So they would always wear the same colors, and that's how people knew they were in a gang. And so I was always very worried that one day I'd accidentally wear the favorite colors of a local gang, and the security would then accuse me of being a gang member, and obviously that would make my mum very unhappy with me, and I imagined it to be quite an embarrassing situation. Finally someone explained the concept of Baki patches to me. Quebec was in the Middle East, by Afghanistan and Iran. I learned it was in Canada in high school, and boy was my mind blown. If I stood too close to the bike fume cleaner while barefoot, it would snack/rip my toes off. Lol. God exists and he loves us. Lots of research, critical thinking and dumping out the Kool-Aid helped with this realization. My parents had a pizzeria and we lived above it, so I thought that everybody who works leaves in their work. Once I asked my teacher how it is to sleep in the school and where the sleeping room for him and the other teachers is. Then he explained to me that not everybody lives above their workplace. I believed that until I was 7 lol. I really have no clue why I thought this. All I remember was playing pretend and saying that I was from Hawaii and later saying I was from China. My grandpa heard this and asked me which one I was from in the game I was playing. This was basically the conversation. Grandpa, you just claimed you are from Hawaii and now you are saying you are from China. Which one are you from? 4-year-old me, they're the same thing. Grandpa, no, one is a country and the other is a state. 4-year-old me, confused. I was about 5 when I saw original Star Wars trilogy, except I watched very shitty bootleg copies on VHS with shut dub. Worse, I watched them in the wrong order. ESB, then ANH, then ROTJ. My childhood mind constructed an absolutely convoluted plot out of it to make any sense. Somehow it only made sense if there were 2 Lukes who were brothers, Ben Kenobi and Palps were secretly the same person, and Ewoks were baby Wookiees. That Santa came down your chimney and gave you presents. I mean, Saint Nick himself was actually real. He was a bishop many centuries ago who gave presents to homeless children, but the illusion of a flying sleigh and him putting presents under your tree was broken the moment I saw my stepdad stomp upstairs in his Timberland boots and start kicking presents across the floor with my mum silently shouting, "Oi knobhead, pick them up." It was sad, but also kinda hilarious lol. Backstory, my parents went wood cutting. They came back with lots of bags of potato chips, crisps for people outside of Australia, and when the siblings and myself asked about it, they told us they got them from the chip tree. We spent the next few years asking if we could go get some chips from the tree, and told that they weren't in season, and that we had missed our chance this year. After about 4 or 5 years of us asking every time we went out for wood, which was at least once a week throughout winter, they told us that the neighbor had gone with them, and that he worked for one of the company's Smith's chips, and he had sent them home with ridiculous amounts that one time. No wonder I question everything my parents or others tell me.